Yeah, perfect. Well, what's the state of affairs in the world of real estate in the San Francisco Bay Area? We're now coming out. This is the short week right after Labor Day, where people rest for a day off for your hard labor, a day to rest for all the labor that one puts in.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that labor bringing the real estate market at the moment? What are we looking at?
So actually, it's a good landscape for single families right now in terms of inventory as compared to last week and the previous weeks. There are 91 new single family homes on the market in the last week, which is very exciting.
Which is always right after the holiday is really, that's that seasonal bump in inventory. And between today being Thursday and tomorrow Friday, we're probably going to even see some more pop on.
Yeah, and 17 of those 91 are under $1 million. Granted, like 10 of those are at $999 or $998, but interesting to note. And then we had 147 new condos and TICs come on the market, which is a little bit more than what we've been seeing. It's generally about 130.
130. And then what went out the door for single families last week?
49 homes.
49 went out the door, which is fairly consistent on a weekly basis. And what went out for condos and TIC?
49.
49.
Mm-hmm.
It is the week of 49.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then multi-unit, we have 25 new 2 to 4 unit properties that came on, and only 2 of them closed. And then just in terms of what went into contract, 59 single families went into contract, and 69 condos and TICs went into contract. And
so 10 on the condo activity.
Yeah, definitely. And most of those are pending. About 20 of them or so are contingent. And 10 multi-units went into contract. So excellent. A steady, small uptick.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, it did seem on our end of things where that week running into Labor Day was crazy busy. So a lot of different things going on. Sean, the world of lending, what's the report there?
It's fast and furious still. It's people are finding homes very quickly, I think faster than they expect to, and then making offers a lot faster with obviously tons of offers. And then I made one last night, which is kind of why I'm thinking of all this. Had one, the property came back to market. We scrambled to put it all together last night. Now we're already in a counter situation, and it's noon. So it's just happening so quickly, which I think is good. I think that's good. Guideline wise, things are steadily opening up. Another equity line company came back to market that had completely shut down. So we're seeing more and more options for doing the 80-10-10, 10% down, up to about 1.4 million, which is great. So, okay. You know, it's been good. Rates are still the lowest of all times. They're holding completely flat and steady. So it's all been, it's been good, but you got to be prepared. If you want to go buy a place, make sure you're ready to go.
And what about reserve requirements and some of the other bigger, harder things that the likes of the big institutional lenders have been implementing to kind of slow the flow, so to speak?
Yes, we haven't seen a big change with jumbo. So jumbo loans in our Bay Area counties, anything over 765,000 basically would be a jumbo loan. So they want to have 12 months of your total monthly payment. So mortgage, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and HOA if it exists. We need 12 months of that in an account after closing, be it checking, savings, investment account, or retirement.
Like 401ks and stuff.
Yeah, 401k and IRA. Some banks want you to only have 6 months, so 50% of the reserves required in a retirement account. They want to know that if something shifted quickly, that you don't have to liquidate retirement. You have at least 6 months to make your mortgage payment. Jumbo's still quirky. You know, I had a client who went the first and second route because she didn't have 3 trade lines. So jumbo lenders typically want you to have 3 trade lines, open or closed, a mix of, but at least 2 have to have like a 24-month history. So it's funny to me that she only has 2, which means she doesn't use debt a lot. She's very good at managing her payments.
And when you say trade lines, you mean credit cards, loans. So you need to have like student loans, a car payment, and a credit card.
Yeah, or 3 credit cards, or 3 student loans, or a combination of any of those things. Yeah, so auto loan, credit card, student loan are the most common 3.
Or store card.
Yeah, like American Express, Neiman's, Nordstrom, any of those.
Mm-hmm.
And they just say, if you don't have 3, we're good. And the only logic I can put to that is they feel that they want to see you can handle managing multiple debts. I don't know if that's a logical answer, but that's the only logic I can find. So they haven't changed any of those requirements. So jumbo, it's great though. The rates are still really low. We're seeing jumbo 3-year fixed at, this is not a guarantee to lend. We got to get a specific quote, all of those things, but roughly 3.125 down to 2.875, depending on what it is. So incredibly low on a 30-year fix. The conventional loans are in that same range, which is great. So the good news is they've come back into the market rate-wise. Guideline-wise, they're still being a little cautious.
Wow. So it is fascinating that in the world of qualifying for debt, if you're somebody who's really good about not getting into debt,
right.
they don't know what to do with you. They're like, oh, right. we like people who just want to really use all this different debt. So
yeah,
it's always been a strange one, but a good reason to have keep cards open and use them every now and again when needed.
Well, and it's important because that's not how we grow up, what we're told, right? When we're growing up, I learned, my perception was don't get a credit card until you need to, and don't have a balance on it. And, student loans are, there, but you want to get rid of them as soon as possible. And so I think the earlier people can get involved in learning about how to set themselves up to actually be able to get a loan, a mortgage is really important. And we have to make sure that we're explaining it to the next generation so that they can actually get a mortgage and buy these homes. And so, because it does feel a little bit counterintuitive that you want debt, right?
Yep, absolutely.
We've had a lot of clients, well, not a lot, but over the years, just people who just never got a credit card,
right,
ever.
Yeah, it's really common now. Now, I think I have more people that don't have, so pre-08, everyone had a ton of debt and open cards and everyone was going broke to look rich. And the next generation is more of, like Haley said, I don't need it, so I'm not going to get it. And what do you mean? Just because I'm not in debt, I can't have a mortgage? That doesn't make any sense. My score's 800. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Well, it's 800 because you have that one card from high school. That's all you've ever needed. And they think it's not good enough.
Well, and a lot of these kids are, they were teenagers in the financial crisis, right? And they saw parents stressed out and, freaking out. And then with the rise of Venmo and all of these different other methods of exchanging cash and whatnot, it's there is going to be a little bit of a shift there to kind of monitor that stuff. But at the end of the day, borrowing money right now is cheap. It's crazy cheap. So
it's unbelievably cheap. I did some math on this, I think, and maybe I've said this on a previous call that we did, but if you take into consideration the tax benefit that you have from your mortgage interest deduction from state and federal government, and then the property tax deduction you have from the state of California, your effective cost of money ends up being 1.8, 1.9% after taking those things into consideration. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's incredible. So And I think we're starting to see it now with the uptick in activity, because condo pricing was, everybody was kind of figuring out where it is, and it seems to be finding a floor, and a lot of people can get themselves into situations where they're, with the cost of money, it's better for them to own than to rent. So and ultimately everybody, that's a great benefit, to have an asset, rather than be out there paying somebody else's mortgage. So
Yeah.
that's
I think the rate at which things are moving to, though, like what Sean said in the beginning, like you would think that because we can't have open houses and stuff now, that things move slower, because it takes time to like get people into a property and plan tours and whatnot. And the complete opposite is happening. And things are like, we have clients that are looking in San Francisco, but the East Bay, Marin, Napa. So all of those different counties, and pretty much across the board. And I would say more so outside of San Francisco, things are taking offers, or agents are calling for
first
offers
week,
within a week, like 4 to 5 days. I mean, in Napa especially, they're literally like, I know there's a house I'm going to show on Saturday where we're showing it at 9 a.m. They're taking offers at 4. Like, it's unbelievable. And, so the market exposure has shortened. And so there's just this pace, like, that we have to work within. It's a race right now. So
yeah, it's almost maddening, and it's a bit of a shock to the system for any new buyers who are kind of coming into the process, because that you're trying to figure out first. There's that cadence where you got to figure out what is it you really like, because anybody can be 3-bed 2-bath. That's just flat data on a piece of paper, and it's trying to find that, and then it's moving so quickly. It is. We had one. Do we want to talk about that one? Super unique property. It's kind of like the COVID. It was a Berkeley property where there was a cute little craftsman house on the front of the lot that was 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and then in the back there was an old metal shop with a big old bridge crane and the super high ceilings and kind of office space where you could, I don't know, you could build a submarine if you wanted to build a submarine. And then above that, they built this like really kind of cool dwell style kind of 1-bedroom apartment. And then there was, a commercial building on one side. So you had a big red brick wall on one side, and then mature trees in between the 2 buildings. So this yard with lights crossing the yard to kind of hang out in a wider lot. So it was kind of, it's like,
I believe the word you used was magical.
Magical.
Yeah.
Magical. And Sean, I don't know if you know what happened here, because you're involved in this as well.
No, you're involved.
So to give my perspective, so the lender side of that, Haley told me there was 141 packets out on this specific property.
141 disclosure packages. That's 141 different groups of buyers who are all like, hey, we're interested.
Too. She literally said that people who had the packet went through as well.
And so for me as the lender, whenever people say, Sean, we're offering this as the address, I look up the listing agent contact info. I don't look at anything else because it just doesn't matter to me. So Haley told me about this one, and I talked to a friend of mine who's an agent in Oakland as well. And I go, man, you're not going to believe this. And I go, there's 141 packets out. He's like, is it blah, blah, blah address? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm offering on it too. He's like, there's no way we have a shot. And so it's just that doesn't, yeah. I think I can think of maybe 2 properties where I had 2 clients offering on the same house or said they were going to, which is an awkward spot for me. And they ended up not doing it. But I mean, that's insanity. And I was like, it must be the most amazing property in Berkeley.
Well, it was in the magic price point. So it started, the magic price point for that kind of thing is kind of the 1.2. and it goes up to the high ones, just below 2 million, for price that kind of, and they were right at the base of it. And with all of the activity, they went all the way beyond the top of it.
So
So,
where did it land?
27 of us showed up.
nearly 27 offers came in the end out of the 141. And I don't know if we should broadcast kind of what we know of it, but it would be, I would say 80% over is we're 70% over, 70% over, something like
That's
that.
insane.
I'm sure we'll see it very shortly.
Yeah.
And I understand that there was a lot of cash, but the winner was not cash.
Nice. So that's always good. There's our silver lining.
Yeah.
You
There's
can
our
still
silver
get
lining.
financing and win.
Yes. Well, because at the end of the day, number one, price is what matters, right? And then lenders, especially like with you, Sean, we can cut out a lot of the stuff that eats up time and can kind of lose a borrower can get stuck on that can cause problems there. When you remove all those obstacles, there's not much difference between a loan and cash. It's just maybe an extra few days for the loan, and that's it.
Well, and to be fair, like we would not have been in the good position that we were in those 27 offers without the terms that we were able to bring forward. So it makes a huge, huge difference.
Huge. So, but what about on a lighter note? I actually saw a pretty awesome property in the outer Mission area on Alamany that had 3 bedrooms on one level, which is quite unique. But rumor has it is in contract for its list price. So there are when you're on the hunt, there are deals to be found. You just it's like foraging for a rare truffle. That's what I was looking for. I'm a hog.
Does that make us pigs, Eddie? Because
it makes me a hog. Makes me a
Well, I will say, like, obviously the single family market is just like on fire, and we have a client that's looking for a single family in a very competitive price point, the low ones, and it's gonna take a lot of stamina, as we all know. And yesterday I just sent over a condo alternative in the area that they want with the similar size. Obviously, it's it's in a 2-unit building, so it's not like in a big complex or anything. And they're into it. And now, to open up the search to condos that are comparable in size and makeup to these single families, like, because they're open to that now, we're going to get into contract way faster. So just like being able
and
to
a better deal.
At a way better deal, way more bang for your buck, less competition. And like, they're perfectly happy. Like they literally have like they're going to have the same exact floor plan, basically, just in a 2-unit building, or 3 or whatever it is.
And I think in 3 or 4 years, there'll be a leveling up of pricing at some point, and you benefit. Like right now, it's the Warren Buffett style of how to make dough, right? You start looking very intently at what everybody's running away from, and you try to find value within that area, because eventually the crowd circles back and you level up, and you haven't done anything, but you get a benefit. And it's a whole strategy that's made him one of the wealthiest people in the world. And he still lives in the house that he bought 50 years ago.
Well, but like, how many more houses does he have?
Yeah.
He owns the block too.
It's probably like the little house that he bought here, and then he built a massive mansion next door, and there's a corridor goes between. So
house is now the
I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm definitely very, very keen and pro on condo purchases right now. I think if we were in that market, they get a buy rating right now.
I
Do
did
you think
just
that,
on
oh, go
sorry,
ahead, Sean.
on the subject of the insanity of the market. I thought, due to all these, I thought, okay, this seems unreal. How much all of a sudden everyone can afford, right? When we started shelter in place, we thought that everything would slow down. Like I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, oh, I remember when the first 2 weeks of shelter in place, I was like, this is going to get like life be normal, and I won't have to be on call 24/7, and that was completely wrong. And so
Yeah.
when I look at the competitiveness, it just seemed unrealistic, even to me. And I was going, people aren't making their mortgage payments because they're in forbearance. Student loans have been put into forbearance. All these things have been, our normal American selves, and we're going, hey, if I don't have to pay it, I can just go spend all this money somewhere else. And all of this is going to come home to roost at some point. So I asked a friend of mine who's an incredible economist to do a webinar with me last week. And it was probably the best 30 minutes. And so I asked him, I was like, I think that we could see a correction in pricing once the government assistance ends. And he's like, not a chance. It basically boiled down to, and I don't know how I even thought to look for this information, but basically Zillow, and I'm not a big fan of Zillow, but they say the average age of a first-time buyer right now is 33 years old. Well, he looked back at when a 33-year-old would have been born was like 86. So when you look at the years after that, the spike in people being born just continues to rise. He's like, just based on this alone, you're going to see home values increase for at least the next 4 years. And it's a supply and demand issue. You have more and more people wanting to buy homes because they're hitting that age to buy, but there's just no more inventory. So there's no shift to be able to happen. So he's like, yes, all the things you're mentioning are true, but they're just not going to have a big enough impact to really slow things down. So with the rates being as low as they are and understanding this very simple, I guess, data point of birth rate to home buyers, here we go for the next 4 years.
Yeah. And that is, it really is, it does come down to that movement of that growth of people. Like it really is a very basic metric. And, you know, like you can, I understand when the numbers rise on the population, it just, everything else will start moving. Like when you get these, right. And, you know, it's a basic metric. And, you know, it's one of those things when cities are trying to revitalize, it's like, you just have to do something to get people into a particular area. It doesn't matter what it is, like do something and just get movement and get growth in that area. And it's like this growth just begets growth that it's when it goes stagnant that you have to kind of, it's different. It's amazing where, you know, we think because of the cost of our real estate that, oh, you know, it's always only going to be a certain percentage of people who are going to be able to do this. But when you deal with, it's like compound interest, and you deal with the numbers grow and grow, it just it begets that growth.
Yeah, I was blown away. I put a little 1 minute clip of it. It's a 30-minute video that I recorded that I'm going to post the whole thing, but I found these two pieces that just in 1 minute explain what we're seeing and why there's no chance of a housing bubble or anything like that. So it was super interesting to me, and I'll share it with everyone once it's finished. But yeah,
Cool.
Age, who would have known?
I definitely just cross-promotionally would recommend it. I watched it, Sean. I logged in. It was awesome. And
good.
sorry for the animal at my window, and I'm distracted. Yeah, that was awesome. That guy, what's his name?
Barry. Yeah. This is like the guy that every mortgage lender probably, if they talk about what the market's doing by way of interest rates or anything like that, they're either just regurgitating what he said that morning, or they're subscribed to his service. So he's kind of the guy to go to for all the mortgage people.
Oh, wow. Cool.
He's a cool dude. Super Jersey.
Yes, very Jersey.
Love it.
Awesome. So if we want to find that, Sean, and check it out, we just go to, where do we go? Where find it's on Instagram?
Then, well, yes, it's on Instagram. What I'll do, since you guys are putting this on YouTube, I'll upload the 1 minute clip to YouTube today, so you can link it, and then I'll post the longer one. I just have to edit. There's some other things happening. I want to clean it up a little bit, but yeah, it'll be on YouTube. If you're watching this there, or go back and watch this there, and you'll see it.
Awesome.
Perfect. Awesome. And anything else that we haven't talked about in the craziness of, we're really in the last run of the year now. I think although COVID has maybe taken seasonality to a certain degree out of the process, but I still think December is traditionally a quieter month. So, I kind of expect, we've had busy December, so who knows what will go, but we've got September, October, November left in the year. So it's going to be, with the rate that things are happening on our end, it seems like the year is really finishing out very strong. So.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to watch is this really an exodus from the city? Did that reverse with the fires? What really is the pattern that's happening? And also like by kind of neighborhood and district where that's happening. Because I noticed this week, the top 4 overbids in the city were all in Parkside, which I found interesting. And I mean, homes tend to be priced at like $995 over there, but with space and yard and flat, and you can go on walks, like I get it. So I just think it's interesting to watch how, like, if we look at District 2, so like Sunset, Parkside, versus what's going to be happening in District 7 and 8, so downtown, Marina, North Beach, etc. It'll be really interesting to see what goes on there.
Yeah. So, totally. It's definitely creating a habit that kind of we're not really going to see it until time kind of goes on completely, because a slight degree change in a course over time is a huge difference, and over time the slight changes that we're seeing in consumer priorities will have some pretty big effects deeper down along the line. So yeah,
we shall see.
We shall see.
I'd be curious to see. I was just thinking about this, because you said Warren Buffett's strategy is wherever anyone's fleeing from, you go back there because it'll circle back around. So and I wouldn't see people are fleeing from San Francisco, but we're definitely seeing more people moving away, and it was driven by fear, right? If we went back and looked at the earthquake, I wonder if the same data exists. People said, this earthquake scared me. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to worry about the Bay Bridge falling off. I wonder if we saw that same trend, because it would be a really interesting data point to go, look, this happened, everyone got scared, but it circled right back around. Be curious.
We should actually pull that. It's a little hard data-wise, because the MLS only goes back, I think they've extended it out to 15
93
years now.
Okay.
But it's hard to get, they have a cutoff point of about 15 years on the data that remains in there. But we could probably do it on a public record search. I know I wasn't around, I wasn't even living in the Bay Area in '89, but I was alive and I was an adult. So, well, almost an adult.
I was gonna say, I mean,
kind of. I was close. I was getting there. But I know from agents that are still in the market today that were around at that time, who, they had to take jobs as taxi drivers and that kind of stuff, because the market shut down for almost a year. It was, and things were a little different back then, and the market and the trend actually in those days too, which was interesting, was, and that's where the growth of areas outside of the city kind of came from, like Hillsborough and Atherton and these kind of places where people were like, the city's dirty and messy and not a nice place to be. And then there's the whole danger with the earthquakes and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, and then that all switched around. So, you know, and look what happened to real estate pricing, you know, when you went from being able to buy a loft in the early 90s for 150,000 to paying almost $1 million for it. So
yeah, there's the stats right there. I mean, in general, it kind of was the same thing about that. And I was like, what other big scary event happened in San Francisco that would have driven people away, and would the same data point exist?
Yeah,
it's a really interesting thing to look into.
cool. You've given us homework.
You're welcome.
You've given
I know
us
you guys
homework.
aren't busy, so.
Yeah.
Jesus, I mean, not it.
All right, where we found Haley when we're lost in the dark?
Elevationrealestate.com. Our Instagram is elevationSF, and definitely check it out because we've been seeing some really cool stuff. I'm touring a lot and I'm posting the coolest things I find, and I've been up in Marin, and you know, there's a lot of cool stuff up there that's not you know, what we see in the city all the time. So
That's for sure.
Check us out.
All right. It was awesome. We'll you know, moving into the middle of September next week, so it's going to be interesting to see where we are next week.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
All right.
Thanks for having
Everybody
me,
stay
guys.
healthy.
All right.
Cheers.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.